Hi, it's Stephanie with Stop Fair, and today I want to talk to you about the importance of keeping a centralized record of your company's access credentials. These are the usernames and passwords for any and all of the online services your company uses. Now, while my immediate concern is always the marketing services, this goes for all of the online portals, software, and services your company utilizes. And here's the number one reason for cataloging that information somewhere safe. People leave. Let me give you 3 examples. These are real life examples that we have dealt with our clients. Number 1, a company uses MailChimp for several years, and the person who was the primary user of that software leaves the company, but has the forethought to give their login credentials to someone else. Great. However, that person's company email is the recovery email and the 2-factor authentication email in the account. But now that company email address has been shut down, so it can't receive email. And then let's say you want to give someone, maybe your new marketing agency or maybe even a new internal marketing person, access to the account. But how? The account is protected with 2-factor authentication, and the email used for that is dead. No bueno. Example number 2, a company sets up an email address to claim their Google My Business profile. Years later, they sell their business and don't even recall setting up the email address, forget the password to access it. And now the new owner of that business can't access the Google profile and make critical business updates like, the business name. Also not good. Number 3 is a doozy. In our work with a local nonprofit, the website hosting and domain registrations lived in a GoDaddy account, which was accessible using the marketing director's email address. Pretty standard. But for reasons that didn't make any sense to us, their organization's IT person moved the hosting and the domain registrations into his personal GoDaddy account. We expressed significant concern to the marketing director, but they didn't force him to move the business assets back into the nonprofit's own GoDaddy account. He wanted easy access, they wanted smooth sailing. But this meant the IT person now had complete control of the website hosting and the domains, which may have been fine for a time, but of course he ended up leaving the nonprofit. So when the organization finally took steps to regain control of the hosting and the domain registrations, they had to submit documentation to GoDaddy to prove they owned their own domains. Ultimately, their domain registrations were moved into a new GoDaddy account, number 3 if you're counting, that was accessed via the executive director's email address. But the hosting stayed over in the former employee's account. And wouldn't you know it, the website went down. You could see that coming a mile away, right? We could too. The new IT person was able to do something that reverted back to the old hosting information so the sites were visible. And the nonprofit tried to work with GoDaddy to get the sites into their new account, but they needed the former IT person's cooperation. And wouldn't you know it, that person stopped returning their phone calls. Bottom line, their website is still in a former employee's GoDaddy account, and they could lose it at any point because they allowed him to move it into an account they didn't have access to. If he lets his hosting expire, then these sites simply go away, and there's nothing they can do about it. Have I sufficiently scared you? Please make a list of the online accounts and portals and software that your company uses and note the usernames, the passwords, any recovery email or 2-factor authentication information necessary to access an account. And then make it part of your offboarding process when somebody leaves the company to check that list and update your accounts accordingly. Because that's just one more way we're trying to help you make your marketing matter.